This podcast is sponsored by
Terraform Development proudly supports the Hopi tribe and nonprofit Hopi entities to provide essential technical support in engineering, architectural, and project management services. Eddie Kalniptua can relate to the hard work on the Hopi reservation, including the cornfield duties and traditional ceremonies that he was raised on. He values this tradition, so Terraform Development was formed to meet these needs on the Hopi reservation. Contact Terraform Development at TERRA4ORM.com and follow them on Instagram at Terraform Development.
Also sponsored by...
Hey, Tom here with Hopi Relief. Hopi Relief is a nonprofit organization based down here in the valley where we are providing much-needed supplies to the Hopi reservation during this COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Please visit hopirelief.org and find out how you can get involved. Hopi Relief is also an Arizona-recognized charitable tax organization. And please, visit us December 1st on Giving Tuesday. Thank you.
You are now listening to the Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast. I'm your host, the 5-star, 5-diamond chef, J-Man, and with me is the Prince of Peculiarity, Carl.
You know, I can't even say Prince of Peculiarity.
You know what? I don't think I even pronounced it correctly either.
Well, we are back.
We're back.
And on, this is season 4.
This is season 4.
Season 4, and we are back because we got bored at home. And I know everybody out there is bored at home as well.
That's a lie because we weren't bored at home. This wasn't a normal break because you had me working.
Oh, yeah.
You put me in front of a camera.
I did.
And then we started a new project, something called Us Be These Guys.
Yeah. Actually, I looked a lot good. I look good on camera, I must say.
we dropped 2 episodes, and so if you haven't seen that yet, that's on YouTube exclusively for YouTube.
Go to YouTube.
So go to YouTube, look up Carl and J-Man, you'll find us, and then like and subscribe our channel, and you'll be able to see those new episodes. But the bad thing about putting me in front of a camera now is the fact that we got to exercise and we got to pump some iron, so we're not looking like normal Hopi guys.
I've been going on daily walks with So and Kwa. So So has already 5 miles ahead of me, and I need to catch up. So
because we don't want to look like normal Hopi guys with our bonos sticking out 2 feet in front of us to the point where we're resting both of our hands on top of our guts like a lot of the men do when they're sitting down in the kiva.
Oh my God, that's actually true.
Well, maybe we should gain that weight so we can look like real Hopi men.
There you go.
In front of the camera.
I want to get a cool haircut like the real Hopis do. Wear a bandana and call it a day.
Well, I think that you should do that because I'm going to continue to stay assimilated and still get these high fades that I like to have.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and thank you again for listening to us. I know it's been a rough how many weeks? Like 4 weeks
since we've been gone.
And I know that everybody was anxious for us to come back on the air here and tell everybody that you should listen to us.
But we're back with a I think it's gonna be a very popular topic.
Oh yeah,
because right now we're in February.
We are in February.
Unfortunately, the Hopi calendar has been canceled for a lot of us.
Yes.
But the white man calendar is still going strong.
We just got our white man calendar today.
And so in February, it's Valentine's season.
Valentine's season here on the Hopi Reservation.
And so with Valentine's Day, well, I guess, we're recording Valentine's Day still a couple of days ahead, but when this drops, Valentine's Day will have passed. And so a lot of people will have eaten up all the chocolates that they got.
Yeah.
All the flowers are probably dead that people received as gifts, but definitely because it's so close to Valentine's Day. The topic of today's episode is romance.
Oh yeah, romance. Romance is one of the things that Hopies really don't do out here.
Specific.
I mean, I watched The Notebook. I watched The Notebook, and
I am so sick and tired of that movie.
and it was the very first time I watched The Notebook. It was last year with Soul, because I never seen it, she never seen it, and we wanted to see it. And this wasn't on February, anytime in February. We just wanted to see The Notebook, and it was so boring. Richard Gere, is that what his name is? Is that who acts on the show?
The Notebook?
The Notebook, or
I thought it was those younger actors.
or who was the Notebook one?
It was the handsome man. I forget his name. He's got like blonde hair.
Yeah. Who was the Richard Gere one? The one.
Oh my!
Remember is that the one? Is that the one where he writes the letters and puts them into a mailbox? Is that The Notebook?
I have no idea.
I think that's The Notebook.
I have no idea.
Maybe
it could be. You know what?
Maybe it was the bootleg one that we watched.
All those movies kind of run together at some point. But specifically for today, we are going to talk about romance, but specifically romance, are native men capable? And so you kind of answered
Wait. Okay. I just needed to do that because Hopi men aren't romantic, and to give them applause is that to give them something that they could look forward to. So,
and so I guess that additional part to the title of today's episode, are native men capable? And the reason why this topic kind of came up was because I was thinking during our little break that we had, and so I posed the question on my personal Instagram, are native men capable?
Okay.
And so on my Instagram story, I had that, are native men capable? And man, a lot of people answered.
Oh, really?
A lot of people answered. They gave their opinions, and obviously I think that a majority of what people had to say was no, native men aren't capable.
I think I got yours confused with Dr. Love's Insta, because I think I put my question on yours saying that, how do I get a girl for Valentine's Day? So if you come upon that in our Facebook or an Insta, just erase that. So
and so that was a question that I posed, and a lot of people gave their perspective and kind of shared. There was a majority said that no, they're not capable. There were a couple of in the right condition, in the right scenario, that native men could be romantic and express love in the way that you see it on the movies. But I think for the most part that a lot of people thought that we aren't capable. So that was something that I thought that would be a good conversation for the podcast.
So are you a romantic person?
Well, before we get into that, let me ask you this question. What is romance?
The Notebook. I'm pretty sure The Notebook has all the answers. Go buy The Notebook. It's on Amazon. So,
and so the reason why I asked that question was because that was a couple of the answers. Well, some people answered it in this way. They said, well, it depends on what your definition of romance is.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that word romance, it really had me thinking when I did pose that question, and then when a lot of my followers on Instagram answered and kind of depicted what they thought about that question. And so it kind of really had me thinking, because like we're older guys, right? We're in our 30s now. Yeah. But then you think about, like when you were growing up, like you could take it back to when we were young. And then you think about, were my parents romantic with each other?
Yeah.
Or was So'o and Kwa'a romantic with each other? Was Taha and, his lady, were they romantic? And so I think that for a lot of us, especially those of us here that grew up on the reservation, we didn't really see those gestures of affection in the way that you would see in the movies.
No. Okay. So a little story here. Kelly Tungovia, our artist, we were texting each other last night, okay. And she asked me, what do boys give girls, during like courtship kind of like, and I'm like, well,
like kids?
No, like what do boys give girls as kids? Pretty much.
STI. No, I'm just kidding.
No, and so
canceled.
So I said that, well, back in my day, back in like the early 90s and early 2000s, we wrote love letters to each other, right? We if we wanted to, text a girl or like, quote unquote text, we would write her a little note and we would give it to one of her friends, and her friends would relay that to the girl that we want to talk with. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so when things get a little bit serious there, and then when the girls actually want to talk with you face to face, then you can have like all of these little moments where you're like holding hands a little bit, and then sooner or later the girl is wearing the boy's sweater or baseball cap. Mm-hmm. And so I was telling her that, and I was like, this is what we did back in the day. And she's like, that's gross. I was like, that's nasty. It's like, I don't want to wear no boy's stinky sweater. And I'm like, well, back then girls loved the smell of boys' musk. So
no, I think that's kind of a great way to segue into this, because then, that was a thought that I had, is because like now, right? Like we're older guys, and the thought of going above and beyond to impress somebody that you're either already in a relationship with, a current long-term girlfriend, which is a popular trend amongst reservation couples. Yeah. Or, your actual spouse, someone that you're married to, that you think about it, you're like, man, that's a lot of extra work. It's a lot of extra work to go and, find nice clothes and dress up, take a bath, fix your hair, make reservations to a real nice dinner, find out, a meaningful gift that they might like, and etc. But then I did think that, well, back in the day when we were younger boys in our teenage years, that oftentimes we did go above and beyond to impress the ladies.
I actually had to take showers to impress a girl back then.
Yeah.
I don't like taking showers, so
that's all it took back then.
All it took was some really nice zestfully clean.
Man, the girls in Hotevilla really have low standards. Except my beautiful Sand Clan, Eagle Clan, and Snake Clan guys in Hotevilla.
Yeah, all the
and
coyote
Clan,
all the coyote girls have very low standards. That's why they have puppies running around left and right. So
But then, it really did, like your story, it really made me think back into my teenage years. Yeah. Because then it really made me think about back then, because you really did put thought into the type of clothes that you bought. Yeah. Because part of it, in terms of the clothes that you bought, part of it was because you wanted to look cool. Oh, yeah. You wanted to be cool at school. And a big part of the reason why you wanted to look cool is because that you thought that would be a way for you to attract the ladies. Oh, yeah. And then that if you did seek out, if there was one particular girl that you did like, then there was something back in the day that we used to call game.
Did you have the game?
He got game.
You got game.
I had all the game.
Well, back in high school, I wore black all the time. So anybody that went to high school with me and J-Man here will probably know that I was, into heavy metal and wore black all the time.
Yeah, so. You're a goofy kid in high school.
I was one of the coolest guys ever. I had a leather jacket and everything, so I had boots that had a buckle on them.
You're a pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
I do think that, some of those historical pictures of pilgrims, they did wear all black.
Yeah, I didn't like you Indians, so. Give me my corn.
Give me your land.
Give me your land and give me your corn. Imagine if they, the pilgrims came back today and Indians were actually aliens and they came in this huge spaceship and they, these white people are like, oh my God, we're so sorry we stole your land.
Sounds like somebody's been watching the History Channel.
It's like, here's your corn back.
Well, back on topic. But then like we did though, we did at some point in our life, we did put an effort. Oh, yeah. We did put an effort into our appearance. We did put effort into even how we conversated. Oh, because yeah. Because then, I think even as young as we were back in our teenage years, that we understood to get in favor with the girl that you had to make her laugh. Oh, yeah. That humor was a big part of it. And then so, that was kind of all part of this tool set of what we called game back then, or even swag. And then I don't know what the hell, this new generation of kids did with that word, because, now they all think it's fuck boys and, whatever the term is. But swag was an actual thing, like back in the day, that, you know, it was something that you talked about, because swag was something that was talked about in a universal way. It was something that depicted how you carried yourself.
Oh, yeah.
How you spoke, how you dressed, even the type of music that you listened to, even the way you walk. You know, like sometimes, you know, you'd have that strut.
Yeah.
Walking down the halls of high school, you'd have that strut, you'd have that swag.
I thought walking like a cowboy would make me a little bit more attractive. You know, like the bow-legged kind, you know, you're walking a little bow-legged because one of my friends, he was a cowboy, and he got all the ladies, and I was like, man, I want to see if this works or not, because girls like cowboys for some reason.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So I started wearing, Wranglers and tight Wranglers, and I started walking
just in boots.
and I just wanted to walk
Big
bow-legged a little bit, just to see if, anything would work like that. And, no, I guess, you know, girls like real cowboys, not the ones that you buy from Sears catalog. So, not the one that Soul had to buy for you. So,
but then, you know, I think that also too, probably a reason why we have difficulty being romantic is that, you know, because you start out young, you start out sincere, you start out kind of pure in a way.
Yeah.
That, you know, you are, you know, fixing yourself up to impress the ladies. But somewhere a lot of us guys take this real sharp turn to where we become players. We become, I guess, you know, we start to delve into the word of like misogyny, and we become chauvinistic.
What was that? Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo, the man whores?
The man whores.
You become a man whore?
And I think that, you know, something like that is kind of influenced by different things, because I remember growing up too, and I remember being a teenager, that I think that you got to an age where this idea of being lovey-dovey with a female.
Oh, yeah.
Or this idea of putting up forth a lot of effort to get in good favor with female was kind of perceived as less than.
Oh, yeah.
It was perceived as a negative, because if you were a real alpha male, that if you're a guy that had a lot of game, that you could get multiple women, and that, you know, you get your pleasures from them in the way that you want to. And, you know, for some reason, you know, that kind of becomes the ideal for a lot of young boys growing up as teenagers. And I think that's kind of where the well becomes poisoned.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Especially where it becomes stereotyped in a way where boys now have to actually make the first move if you want to have like a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's kind of that stereotype where too is like that Hopi, going back to our LGBTQ episode, is that a boy should only date a girl in that sense, especially here on the Hopi reservation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that has a lot of like this whole downfall, I guess you could say, or this whole idea of like, I should only date the opposite sex, or I should do it in the way where my soul and Gua did it in the way, like, you know, where they would, Gua would go and court her for a while.
Taking influences from those that we saw ahead of us.
Yeah.
People that are older.
Yeah.
And, you know, in a way that does kind of get messed up too, because we live in this society of aunties.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Like the native youth, you know, this term auntie is something that's talked about. So you hear the aunties and the uncles. But like real Hopi uncles are thus, they were kind of big perpetrators and kind of turning us the wrong direction by bragging about how much women they've been with. Or that, you know, the power of being a man is having the ability to get multiple women.
Well, Maitaha has this book, and it's probably 5 or 6 inches thick, and he calls it his weekly book, and there's nothing but women's names in there pretty much. So he flips through it and he's like, I'll go to Tuesday, even though it's Monday. He has children in 5 different counties, so...
And so, you know, when you grow up with role models like that, then, you know, especially being young, being impressionable, that's kind of where we take the wrong direction. And, you know, obviously creating a barrier to be romantic.
Oh, yeah.
Because we think that, you know, romance isn't necessarily a part of our game anymore, that it's really just to impress the ladies, to get them for certain things that we want. And so, you know, moving the conversation forward, And I really think that this is something that's probably a little bit more prominent with Native folks, with reservation folks, because we talked about how we looked at our parents or our kua'as and our so'os, our tahas, our gia'as, and how they interacted with their own partners and whether there was any romance involved. But thinking about that, thinking about, a lot of the things that we've talked about in a while is that, and I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning, is romance mystified?
Mystified here on the reservation?
Or I guess in general?
In general? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I mean, like, are you a romantic guy with your wife?
I'm putting off that question as much as I can. So I'm absolutely forced to answer it. I guess really what I mean is that, we have this idea of romance. And when I first asked you about romance, your immediate response was The Notebook.
Oh, yeah.
And like, are we getting this idea of what romance is? Are we getting that from movies?
I think...
Do we get it from love songs?
I think that, we're... Today's society...
Do we get it from books, novels?
I think today's society is all influenced by television, by movies. And the younger generation now has nowhere else to turn because, all of the romance here on the reservation kind of died. And it's true.
Romance was a seed that wasn't able to survive in this desert climate out here on the reservation.
Strong Ones. Every Strong Ones design has a story and a unique meaning. They create designs to celebrate traditions of running and uplift Native cultures across the globe. They also partner with local artists on special projects in hopes to expose talent and creativity of Hopi people. Strong Ones are often referred to as Hohongvit in the Hopi language. They can be found at hohongvit.com. That's HOHONGVIT.com.
So, like, romance here on the reservation,
was not bred for dry farming.
It was not bred for dry farming. So, I think it died back in like the 70s and 80s back then.
I mean, because like you think about, like you mentioned, you think that a lot of society is influenced by television or movies or, like I said, maybe books or love songs. Because then you think about some of those romantic movies, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any movies that are favorites of yours that are considered in this genre of romance?
Romance? God, no, I don't think so. I love scary movies. I love them to death. So, but
So I guess you could say you're in a romantic relationship with scary movies.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because believe it or not, I do have movies that are in the romance genre that I am that are real favorable to me.
Really?
And so like, we just got off of last year Christmas. There's this one particular Christmas movie called Love Actually. That's one of my favorite movies. It's kind of like a British movie, and there's like multiple love stories going on. But one of my favorite parts of the movie is this love story between the actor. His name's Andrew Lincoln. He's the officer. He's the officer in The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Rick Grimes.
Okay.
And so it's between him and Keira Knightley. I had such a big crush on Keira Knightley back in high school, like when Pirates of the Caribbean first came out. And so he's in love with her, except that she's married to his best friend.
Okay.
And so it's like this forbidden love. And then, he avoids her so much because he knows that, this is my best friend's wife. I love my best friend. I'm not going to hurt him, but yet, I can't help it. I'm so attracted to his wife. And then at some point, on Christmas, he reveals to her that, yes, I am in love with you, but this is all it has to be because you're married to my best friend. And so I guess kind of an unorthodox love story.
So do you think something like that would happen here on the reservation?
Oh, I think it happens all the time, minus the restraint.
Pretty much, and that's the reason why kids today have multiple fathers. So,
but I guess my point is that sometimes I guess whether it's women or men, when they think about romance and when they think about what their expectations are to be romance, to be wined and dined. Like, are a lot of these ideas coming from movies? Are they coming from things like Disney Plus or, some of the love songs that are some of our favorites? And then do we develop such a high standard for what we think romance is as a result of the movies that we watch or as a result of the songs we listen to or the books that we read?
Do Hopis read books? I'm very curious if one of you guys out there on Hopi Reservation actually read The Notebook.
Well, I have my master's degree, Carl, and I didn't get that without not reading a book. So,
well, you're talking to the reservation here, so then I think The Notebook is best seen on TV.
First episode of season 4, I got to make this comment. Carl's comments are not reflective of all members of the Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast.
But again, I mean, like how does romance start here on the reservation? I mean, the way that I see it is like, if you have a 30 pack and the girl is over there and parents are not home and everything's game from there on out.
So what you're saying, the pickup line is, I got beer.
I got beer. I got smokes. I got some of the good stuff.
I think it was in season 2, I gave out Carl's phone number. So if you want to go back and do some research on that. But I guess moving on, in terms of the conversation, why do you think it's difficult to be romantic? Why do us men, when it comes time to, strap up those boots and, put on those Wranglers and wine and dine our ladies or our significant others, our partners, why do we drag our feet?
Well, because we don't want to be made fun of. That's why. And that's the reason why we all go to the same kiva and we don't mind making fun of. So, we just call them old ladies pretty much.
I've had this conversation before with, people that I'm very close with, and, they'll make those comments, they'll say things like, oh, my wife or my girlfriend, she gets mad because, she says that there's no more romance in our relationship.
Yeah.
They'll say things like, you don't even put it in effort. You don't even try to make me look beautiful. You don't even try to make me feel special in any way. And, a lot of those conversations always end up with, the person that's kind of venting to me. They'll always say something like, they ask a lot of me, but yet I do all this other stuff for them. I bring in the fuel, I bring in the wood, I plant their corn, I go to the kiva for, our family, for our kids, all these things. But yet, aside from doing all of that, they want more.
That reminds me of a George Lopez joke. It's like he was saying that his wife, she's like, we never go out anymore. You never treat me like a woman anymore. And, how we never go on dates anymore. And George Lopez goes, so how many kids do we have? And he's like, that's how many kids we have. That's how much I love you. Remember the tax season? I gave you all the money during tax season. I love you then. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like that here on the Hopi Reservation.
I think that's how us men feel sometimes because you think about it, okay, and I'll use myself for an example.
Yeah.
Is that, pre-COVID, I make the long drive from Tuba all the way out here to K-Town.
Yeah.
I do my 8 to 5, I clock out and then make the long drive all the way back from K-Town to Tuba. I get home and I'm exhausted,
Oh, yeah.
Most people are when they get off work, you're exhausted. All you want to do is just, have that time to yourself and just de-stress for a little bit. And then, the Res Famous wife, she'll sit next to me and then she'll tell me how her whole day went. And this is not a 5-minute conversation. This is not a 10-minute conversation. And, because I'm trying to be respectful to her, I'm just sitting there and I'm listening,
Yeah.
And that's probably where I learned the from. But, I'm sitting there, and listening to her and responding to her when she's talking to me and asking me questions or, just conversing about how her day goes. And then, but I think that it is that for a lot of us is that, we feel that a majority of our energy goes elsewhere. It goes to our jobs for those of us that have jobs. And because we're here on the reservation that we've talked about it a lot, that life here is different.
Oh, yeah.
during the winter time.
Oh, yeah.
You don't just flip a switch and the heat comes out. You got to chop wood. You got to go komokto, get the wood and bring it back to your house. During the summertime, we're farmers. And that takes up a lot of time. During our ceremonial calendar, we're down at the kiva. That takes a lot of time.
I think most married men are away from their wives about 365 days out of the year, and that that one extra day is just made for them, which is an unusual day. So,
and then so all this energy is expended in all these other areas. So we feel exhausted, and we feel that doing things extra to make our ladies or our partners feel special, or to make them feel beautiful, or to do all these other things, we feel like that there's no time for it.
Yeah.
We feel like that we have no additional energy for that.
So again, are you a romantic guy?
And so that question will be answered, I promise, at some point in this episode. And so, that's something that's I guess a reason as to why it's difficult for us to be romantic, because we don't think that we have the time. We don't think that we have the energy. And then I guess another reason why it's difficult for Native men to be romantic is maybe some of us just don't know how.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe some of us just don't know how to be romantic.
I watched The Notebook, so that's all my training there. There was another movie. What was it called again? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know that movie, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s. What was her name?
Cameron Diaz?
No, was it? No, it wasn't Cameron Diaz. I forgot her name. I know she's like a really well-known actress. And it was basically, it's just having a guy fall for you and then how to lose him in 10 days pretty much. And it doesn't go as planned, and she ends up falling in love with this guy. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes here on the Hopi Reservation too. So.
When I made the comment that some of us don't know how to be romantic, I should have said example A, my partner, Carl.
That's actually true. I really don't know how to be romantic.
Because then, I mean, you think about it though, because there is anxiety for some men when it comes to talking to women. Right?
Oh yeah, it is.
Because especially I guess depending on what your perceptions are of a beautiful woman or an attractive woman, a woman that you're interested in to any degree, that you get nervous because you don't know what to say, because in your mind, you're putting so much pressure on yourself to impress her.
Oh, yeah.
In any type of interaction that you have. And so I think that's kind of where, this term, the yips, I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Yips.
But that something like that comes into play where you end up, I guess, in a way, cock blocking yourself. Because then, you're so scared to talk to women. And so, I think sometimes that it gets to that point where we just don't know how to be romantic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's actually true, because we don't know how. We don't know what to do for the woman other than, get drunk with her and see where it goes. I mean, that's pretty much how res people do it now. So if you have some good smokes and, 30-pack, make sure it's the good stuff.
I encourage all of our listeners to overlook Carl's comments. He is single. And I'm pretty convinced he's still a virgin, so.
That is actually not true, so.
And so, I guess another thing to go back to my Instagram question that I posed about, can Native men, are we capable of being romantic? And one of the comments, actually, one of my friends, he reached out to me in regards to that question that I posed, and he said, well, what if, what does a traditional form of romance look like? And so, it's like in this day and age of American Indian studies and, indigenous dialogue, decolonizing romance. Like, what does that look like? Like, if you think about the 1800s, was there an element of romance?
No.
Was there a form of courtship?
No. On the Hopi Reservation, probably not. I think it was just made for trying to reproduce, and so you can have as many children as you can before you're before you're 17, pretty much.
And this is why J-Man's here on this podcast.
No. It is true, because if you do look at past histories, and if you do look at past colonized history, it's like, there are a lot of these things went on to reproduce, just to make sure that the population stays at a minimum level there, or like a nominal level of like furthering on that legacy. And I'm pretty sure that Hopis back then did the same thing, was just to reproduce, and that's about it.
Well, while thinking minds get a chance to get on this conversation and make some comments, I mean, I guess in a quick response, that you would think that is the case, but then like if you think about like our traditional stories, which is kind of a form of historical accounts by our people. If you think about some of those stories that are told during the winter months, that there was a form of courtship, that there were ways that men would, or at least young boys would go to try to get girls to be attracted to them, similar like we did in the high school. And so some of those ways is that, because back in the day, a part of every girl's responsibility was to grind corn.
Oh, yeah.
Because you needed a lot of numni back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was used for consumption, used for other things. And so that
everyday
use. And so girls were responsible to numanta. To grind corn every single day. And so one of the accounts is that in the corn grinding room, that, in the houses back then, that there was a special room for corn grinding, that there would be a window that was open to the outside, and probably for ventilation or things like that. But back in those days, that the young boys would go to the different windows of the girls that they liked and try to start a conversation with them. And that if they were able to get a long enough conversation, that signs would point that, maybe this girl's into me. And that there are accounts too that some of these girls, while they're grinding corn, if there was a boy that they didn't like and they kept coming around, this was probably your descendants, Carl. Something like this would happen to
my
them.
descendants had a 30-pack and some good smoke. So, I was like, forget the corn grinding. Let's
go drink.
Let's go drink.
And so, some of these boys came around that they didn't like, that they would take some of the flour that they were grinding and they would throw it in their face. And so that they would keep it away, so that they would go away. And then in other parts of Hopi stories, you hear about boys gathering flowers, and that during the springtime, they would go into the valleys off the mesa and gather flowers. And they would take those flowers and they would, what we call this day, naitiwa.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what most kids today known as a yapaha.
Oh, yeah.
But they would take those flowers and they would do that with the different girls in the village. And so one could argue that, that was a traditional form of courtship back in those days.
More like flirting, pretty much.
A traditional part of, I guess, a decolonized version of romance.
Oh, yeah.
And so despite Carl's thought process that people were just automatically spreading their legs for the benefit of population, that you did have to put into work to get the women's attention back in those days, that you had to put in some sort of effort to be able to get them in favor with you, to potentially develop a relationship, and then eventually at some point lead to marriage.
Well, nowadays, I mean, it's very easy. You just get
Carl, 30-pack and smokes, trying to develop some new material.
Well, anyway, I mean, us Hopi men never knew about, well, I guess you could say Kwa and So had that courtship kind of deal there too. But Kwa actually rode up from Songopavi on his horse, and he would get his top steed to bring him over to Hotvela, and they would kind of go out for a bit, and
go out for a ride, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty much it. And So would be impressed that he could jump off the horse and jump right back on, and that's how they started dating. I mean, that's pretty much how he courted her in that way.
And well, you did bring up a comment earlier in our conversation, when we're talking about decolonizing romance, thinking about, what elements of romance or courtship that there existed, back in the long, long ago in the Hisat time, that, you did make up this comment that, it really did only apply to heterosexuals.
Oh, yeah.
That, romance was really only talked about in that degree between man and a woman, that I don't think that anybody ever accounted for any type of gay relationships, lesbian relationships, pansexual relationships, all the new terms that we learned in our LGBTQ episode.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I think that, that's kind of something that I guess is difficult to look back at in this ever growing society, or this ever growing inclusive society.
And it is to where, like, the older songs or the older ceremonies depicted just a man and a woman pretty much having children and furthering on the traditions there, or furthering on the culture and the hopiness of everything like that. And they never really actually made songs for like the LGBTQ community. I'm pretty sure there were people back then that had those types of feelings, but Hopi was made for just a man and a woman. All the ceremonies were made for man and woman pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And so now I think that, talking about romance, that it is something that you have to take into consideration, that the fact that it's not just between a man and a woman now, especially here on our reservation, as we learned. But I guess, kind of moving further into time, if you think about our teenage years, thinking about how did Hopi culture influence our ways that we try to wine and dine the girls. Thinking about your participation in something like social dances.
Oh yeah, social dancing.
Because you remember, like, back in those teenage years, that all the girls that came down to dance, that a lot of them were within the age range of you to where it was considered suitable for you to try to pursue. That sometimes that when the girls would come down to the kiva for practice, and that in between practicing the dance steps, that you got these breaks.
Oh yeah.
And the girls would be taking out of the kiva, and then that's when all the boys would run outside and try to make conversation with the girls.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went. So I was so fortunate to be a manmongwi. So
Did you abuse your power?
I abused
as
it.
A manmongwi?
I said, I hold the flashlight. If you don't stand by me, you're not having the flashlight where you walk. So
But I mean, it's so funny though, because then, like, I think about it, back in my younger years, back in my teenage years, that those were fun times.
Oh yeah.
That you really did look forward to it, that if you got picked to dance, or if you're just down there to help sing, that when the girls would come down, that was a big part of what was fun about going down.
Oh yeah.
Was because then you would oftentimes try to get that opportunity to chat up some of the girls that you liked.
Of course. And that's, I guess Hopi has always been a romantic culture, I guess, in a way.
I thought you said it was just about 30-pack smokes and reproduction.
Oh, that's today. So that's today now. So we learned it all from TV.
and I guess that's kind of a unique way of how we pursued romance, or how we tried to establish relationships as Hopi boys.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And then I think that this other, another way that we did it in relation to our culture, to our ceremony, was when you would go to a different village to go watch a dance as a teenage boy, because then you knew that there were other girls, not just from your own village, but from different villages.
Oh yeah,
that were going to be present. And then so it's so funny, because then, like, you think about the dances that are going on during the summertime. Most of them katina dances, which on the face of it is supposed to be something that's sacred, something that you're supposed to respect, that if you're going there because you want to watch the ceremony go on, that you're going to help those that are participating to pray for rain, that the rain's going to come and to bring moisture to your crops. But yet, as a teenage boy, deep down inside, you're really going because you wanted to go see the girls.
Yeah, I think that's what my teenage boyhood did. Actually, it's just
The real theme was in relation to the ladies.
just to look at all the pretty guys and everything.
Because then, like, you think about those days, it's the same thing, right? Like, you're not going with just, your weekend clothes. You're putting on your nice pants, your nice shoes, even though you know that they're going to turn whatever color dirt is based upon which mesa you're going to. You're wearing your nice shirt. You're wearing your nice baseball cap because, ultimately you're trying to get the attention of the ladies.
Oh yeah, that is true. And I don't know if it still goes on today. Well, not today, but like in the past today.
I assume that it does.
And I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm pretty sure that kind of like that tradition still goes on with Hopi boys nowadays. So,
and then I think the inverse is true too with the girls, that the girls will put on their nicest clothes or whatever they think is attractive because I guess traditionally you think about Hopi, we're a very modest society.
Oh yeah, we are.
We're very conservative. That it's actually considered taboo for girls to show their legs at these big ceremonies that we have.
Oh yeah, it is, and that's the reason why they have like mantotsi, the wraps that go up their calves pretty much, and that's the dress meets at a certain way past their knees, and they wear a shawl to cover up their shoulders, so I guess back then when a girl liked the boy, she kind of would show the shoulder a little bit, just to see that, the boy is getting, attracted to her. So.
That was provocative.
And it was provocative back then. So, and to actually see the ankle of the girl.
That's something that turned you on back then.
That back then, and not 30 pack and good smoke. So.
And but it's kind of funny because then we do find these ways to I guess seek romance even through our culture, through participating in the social dances or going to the summer dances at different villages, hoping to meet your new snag, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And then I think that it was always more impressive if you could get a girl from a different village.
I think this would be considered like modern powwow gatherings.
The Hopi version of the powwow highways.
the powwow days, pretty much.
Village hopping, I guess, is what they used to call it back then, and it's probably what they still call it these days.
So like, back in So'o's and Gua's day, Gua really liked So because they went to the same school here in K-Town. That's the old high school.
Okay.
And he was in metal shop pretty much. And she was the one in home ec. And in home ec, you would make the girls like maybe like pan holders for the girls, or like placeholders for the pans to go on, and Gua was like really good at that, and like all the girls like Gua because he was like this dashing guy, and So caught his attention, and she's like, oh wow, that's a really nice looking girl there. I want to court her pretty much. And so that's back in the day, back in the 1940s, pretty much.
So he bought her a 5-cent bottle of pop.
It was rare back then.
From the drugstore.
It was rare back then. So
took her to the Nickelodeon on a date. Saw the old black and whites.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess, enough dragging our feet. Can we be romantic? Do you think that it's within our capabilities to be romantic? Because then, some of the answers that some of the women gave is that, it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean, buying the expensive bottle of champagne or wearing a tuxedo, taking them to a 5-star, 5-diamond restaurant. Sometimes it's something simple as just showing appreciation, showing gratitude.
And I think that's what Gua does every now and then, because they've been married for, how old is my oldest taha? And I ask them the same question. It's like, so how long have you been married? I ask Gua, and he'll usually say, well, ask So, how long has she been married? And she's like, I don't know. I just gave her the ring and I got shotgun wedding. So But I guess that's what Kwa still does. Is still loves his wife. Still loves doing things for his wife. And I see it. I see that, and Soul really appreciates that. Like maybe a little foot rub here and there, and I guess that's what romance is nowadays, and when you're older.
Or at least it's a form of romance, is, showing your partner that you appreciate the work that they do for you.
Yeah.
Or even showing appreciation for a lot of the efforts and work that they put into the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because then, we've talked about it a whole lot on this podcast that, we're unique out here. We're different. We're a little wild, and, we got a lot more on our plates going on, more than other people outside of the reservation, is the fact that, aside from the normal, I guess, some of the caveman stuff that women are charged with doing out here, the cooking, the cleaning, the changing diapers, the fact that we are so involved with ceremony, the fact that we're so involved with this farming lifestyle, that there are other duties that they do. That there are a lot of other things that they're responsible for, then that they're in charge for. So I guess as Hopi men, or even as Native men, as res men, is letting them know that, I'm really proud of you, that, you're able to do all this work. I'm really thankful that you're in my life, that you do this for me, that you do this for my kids. Because then, I think about it. I think about some of the prominent women that are in my life. Like I think about my mother, and, sometimes I underappreciate her. But when I really look at all of the work that she does, when it comes time to certain things, like when I think about my own life, like I think about when we had kids. And when we had the baby naming ceremony, I think about all of the work that she did for that. And it's like, wow, I can't believe she did all that work. I was like, wow, it's like this life of a Hopi woman is so hard. It's so difficult. And so, just showing them the appreciation. Mom, thank you, for doing this for my child. I love you. And then, having that same type of appreciation, because the res famous wife, she does so much. She does so much. And then, especially in this day and age where not all women know how to do things like make biki, make somiviki, or do, some of the more traditional stuff, that she knows how to do all those things. And that she does do all of that stuff for myself and for my relatives, for my family. And so I do my best to show her that, I appreciate this work that you do for us.
With a 30-pack and good smokes.
We're Queevy now, so, that 6-pack of IPA beers instead of the 30-pack of Bud Light.
But and
transitioning from Kiva smokes to cigars
to good smokes
to some good smokes.
So I mean, like, appreciate your significant other, and appreciate everybody that, or anybody that is in your life. If you have your husband or your wife, and make sure that every day that you do appreciate one another, because in this day and age, I mean, who knows? I mean, like nowadays, I know there's like the stereotypical part where, like, girls go hopping to guy, and that's pretty much all my clan relatives. So, but in this day and age, just appreciate what you have and who you have it with, and appreciate them for who they are, because that's the person you fell in love with, and that's the person that will be with you pretty much forever.
And then also, too, I think definitely upholding your own responsibilities. Being a father if you're a father when you should be a father. Being a partner, a husband, a boyfriend when you should be being a husband, a boyfriend. And then doing all of the other duties, being a farmer, being a hunter, being that 8 to 5 guy that brings home the checks, or, whatever else it is that you do to contribute around the house. And, something that I actually had a conversation too with a friend is that, do it with love. Because love is something that we don't talk about a whole lot, because I think that, sometimes like that, love is sometimes it's mystified. And we only think about love in the context of The Notebook or the other romantic movies that we talked about. But sometimes love is just being there for somebody else and showing them that you're here in their life to help support them, to help be there for them in the way that you need to be.
So, are you a romantic guy?
I would say no. But I do my best. I do my best because I actually did think about that in regards to this conversation, knowing that we were going to talk about this. Because I actually, I have 4 important women in my life, which is my wife, the Res famous wife. I have 2 older daughters that are in college, and then our youngest daughter, she's actually going to be turning 9 over the week. And so when I think about things like, Valentine's Day, I always try to make sure that I get them something, but sometimes it's not, it's not like a dozen roses each, or, it's not something real extravagant. And I think that, especially for Valentine's Day, I always think that it's really difficult for Hopis because it's always during this time of Po'omuya. And so a majority of our focus is on Po'omuya, and we never really have a chance to go do what these big things are, like buying
like
those extravagant
the big holiday
gifts,
things are,
or making those reservations at the really nice restaurant. And I remember that one year, Valentine's Day was like the Friday before the weekend of when everything was going to happen for the ceremony. And I was driving home from the Kiva. And being on the reservation, you know how on Valentine's Day, they have people that sell things on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Like they have the fake flowers, or they have all the candy. That's kind of, they fasten it in a way so that it looks like a bouquet. Stuffed animals, the whole everything. And I saw that, and I was driving, and then I ended up pulling off to the Wells Fargo, and I got some money out. And then I went there, and I got something for each of my girls. And just to include my son, I got my son something too. And then I went home with that, and that was Valentine's Day. Stopped off at the side of the road and got, some of the roadside stuff. But I think I've always thought that, at least I'm getting them something.
Yeah. Well, I think it is time for...
Are you a romantic? Ask me that question without answering it yourself.
Okay, well, before we go, am I a romantic guy? Well, I don't know. I never really had a girlfriend that said that I was a romantic guy. So I'm not too sure if I'm a romantic or not.
Let's ask So'o. I bet you So'o would say that you're a romantic guy.
Which
actually I find really strange.
So'o still thinks I'm cool. So, well, thank you again for listening to us. We appreciate
our reintroduction back,
and we're back.
In a way, this is kind of our redemption tour,
exactly,
from season 3. And I think that we got a little too toxic, a little too against the grain, and so I think we're going to come back with some a lot more positivity in this season.
Oh, exactly, and so get ready for season 4. Here we have guests upon guests that will we'll talk about their side of the story and everything. And watch out for our YouTube specials, Us Be These Guys, that air almost every 2 weeks. So we have free weekends now, so
we're living like Bahanas now.
Living like Bahanas now, so we
have
can
free
do
weekends now.
Oh yeah, so we can actually do this.
Our evenings are free.
And so we can do this for you, and we appreciate all of your donations. Thank you, everybody that has bought us coffee over the weeks here. We really appreciate it because it does go to all of the equipment that we use for the video and for the podcast itself. And thank you for all of our sponsors that are going to be in this season here.
Thank you to our super fans.
Oh, thank you to all of our
30-pack contributors.
Yeah, thank you to all of our super fans, our 30-pack contributions. And if you want to become part of that, go to anchor.fm/CJ Podcast 85 to become a monthly sponsor there. I mean, it's only $4 a month. And if you want to see us further on with all of this content, it really does help us.
If you guys haven't noticed, Carl's favorite thing to do is ask for money.
I'm poor.
So make Carl happy.
I need to find a girl so I can spend all of this money on.
Coffee costs $1, whatever you decide with our Anchor. Thank you again to our sponsors, like Carl said. And then also, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter at Carl and J-Man, although I think our Instagram is at Carl and J-Man _podcast. Follow us individually on Twitter or Instagram. You can find me at suta.hungiva. It's just spelled SUDA.HONGEVA on Instagram. And then you can also find me on Twitter at jhungiva, the number 4 on Twitter.
You're on Twitter.
But don't add me on Facebook. Facebook's a little different realm for me. So.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening to Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast. My name is Carl. This is my best friend, J-Man.
And don't forget, if you're listening to us on YouTube, to like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you again.
Carl really wants to go home.
But say your line. Come on.
So long. Quack, quack.